Hello. Today I want to talk to you about this rifle, which this is not a rifle, it is a smoothbore India copy of British pattern 1800 infantry rifle. It was used by the rifle regiments from 1800 up to into the 1830s. I don't know exactly when they stopped issuing them. Probably when they started converting stuff to percussion. Anyway, this gun is also known as a Baker rifle after the man that developed it, Ezekiel Baker. And the one that was adopted by the British in 1800 was actually his third prototype. The first one was based off of a Brown Bess and was considered too large and clunky in rifle form to be used by the rifle regiments. So they gave him a Jaeger rifle to copy, and his second one was still in 75 caliber, and I think it had a 36-inch barrel. So this third pattern, this one here that he developed, is the one that was actually adopted. He was doing this in 1778 and 1779. Has a 30-inch barrel and is 65 caliber. And like I said, this is a smoothbore variant, just because it was made in India. This is a gun that I picked up I went to a Civil War event in Aiken, South Carolina, and somebody had it, they had a couple of guns out with, I saw a price tag fluttering on it, so I walked over to take a look. I'm always looking at flintlocks. And he had it marked as a Brown Bess replica, and the price was good. And I looked at it, and he said, "Are you interested in it?" He was also doing tomahawk throwing, so we had a family over there, and I didn't want to bother him. And I'm standing there looking at it, and he looked over at me and said, "Are you interested in that?" I was like, "Yes, sir, I am." So I waited there until he got done, and he comes over, and I said, "You do realize this is not a Brown Bess?" And at first, I didn't know what it was because I was looking at it, and then it dawned on me. I said, "Hey, this is a Baker rifle, something I don't have in my collection. Doesn't fit into my 18th century time frame, but these were being issued in 1800. These were used all the way up. They were actually some here all the way up to the Battle of New Orleans during the War of 1812. So it fits in with my early 19th century stuff, and I probably won't be dressing, I don't have the uniform and stuff to do a British Rifle Regiment of Napoleonic Wars in 1812 time period, but it will make a nice display piece when I do some 1812 events. So anyway, when this was given to the Board of Ordnance, they took one of these rifles, fired 11 rounds at a 6-foot circle target at 300 yards, and they deemed that was accurate enough for what they wanted, so they adopted it. It's got some interesting features. One of the things you'll notice right off is this big bar on the side, and that is for a sword bayonet. These were issued with a sword bayonet. Up until 1815, a lot of them were brought back in, and the stock shortened a little bit, and they were set up to use a socket bayonet. And another interesting feature here is the sights. You have your cut here, but it also has this leaf that folds up, and I'm assuming, and this is just me assuming, I don't know, I'll have to do a little more research on this gun, that is probably set up for 100 and 300 yards. I'll have to take it to the range and try it out. I've not fired this gun, and actually haven't taken the barrel off and looking at it, I don't think this gun has actually ever been fired. Came without a flint, and I'll have to go through my rifle flints and find one to put in it. Another interesting feature of it, well, before I get to that, we'll talk about it. It does have sling swivels because it's a infantry gun, so it can be slung. The ramrod is sometimes hard to get out because it has a double taper. It has a from here at the, let me turn it around here where you can pull the ramrod out. It has this odd double taper, and it's got like it flares up and then has a button on the tip, plus a hole. Actually, I guess that's to be able to pull it out or to give you leverage when if you're having to pull a ball or something, screw your tool on there, ball puller, worm, whatever. It has a hole in there where you could actually stick. I've got a punch here. Stick that in there to get it out. And actually, when I first got it, I was having trouble getting it out. But anyway, it tapers down, but then it flares back up, and it's got the long first ramrod pipe, and it's getting stuck in there. And I may just need to clean it out good. It's actually coming out easier now, because when I got it home, I did hit it with Johnson's paste wax all over real good and some ballistol. But it's got that double taper, which is unusual. And it's actually, for what it is, it's compared to the Brown Bess, it's an extremely heavy ramrod. It's quite thick all the way down through here. So let me put this back in. Actually, I'll just leave it out. It won't hurt anything. And the other thing is, where the Brown Bess and most British guns were pinned into the stock, you see these little, right here, that is the ends of these captive wedges. You have a wedge here, and a wedge here. Oh, not far enough, up there. And one of the things, and I'll try and zoom in on this, right here where the barrel meets the breech, when I first bought it, and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, there's a gap there. This thing may not be safe to shoot, until I did a little more investigating when I got home. Because like I said, I saw it. It was an impulse buy. I picked it up. I grabbed it, put it in a gun. I didn't even have a gun sock with me because I wasn't intending on buying a gun. I was just there as a visitor, and so we threw it in the car, drove on back to my friend's house. And I'll get more on that in a minute. I want to talk about too, while I've got it here looking at it, it does have a patch box because these guns were issued with a cleaning kit, and you can see it's got a hook right here that sticks out, and you just push that forward and pull up on the little tab to open the patch box. Now, this being an Indian gun, this patch box is kind of rough, not fitted very well. I'm sure on an original it would be much finer. The fit and finish on this gun is a little rough. It does have almost a Jaeger style trigger guard, Jaeger influence. It does have it's smaller than a Brown Bess lock, but a decent sized lock on it. Like I said, I haven't put a flint in it yet. I haven't tried to see if it sparks. The frizzing right here is pretty rough, so I may have to pull that frizzing off and polish it up and then clean it good. And there again, this is one that I don't know if I will shoot it. I probably will shoot it just to make a video, and it'll probably get put up and not get shot for years. But anyway, to remove the barrel, let me set it here. I'm going to move this block out of the way. You have your pins here, and I'm going to try to do it where you can see it and I can still see it too. You've got a captive pin here. Get my small jeweler's hammer. Try and knock it down and get it started. Just knock my punch off. This punch is a little bit big for this, so I will just do it enough to get it started. And then use the narrow bladed screwdriver, turn screw. And this back one is the one that actually sticks the most. And you can drive the wedge out, but they're captive, so they don't come all the way out. So you get them out that far. As far as it'll go, there's actually, and I'll show you in a minute when I pull the barrel out, there's a pin that goes down through the stock right there to keep that in place. I'm just using this so I have some clearance under here. We'll do the same thing with this side. That one's already down a little bit. Trying to do this where y'all can still see it makes it hard for me to see. I don't want to booger the wood up, so And this thing has some dings and nicks where it was in storage. The guy I got it from, he said that it was his father's. And he was older. I suspect he was older than I am. But, you know, I keep forgetting I'm getting old. But anyway, he said he had had it for a while and he had never fired it. He said his father was a reenactor. But he didn't really, like I said, he didn't know what he had. He thought it was a Brown Bess, and for one thing, it was too short. And then the bayonet locking bar right there was another dead giveaway for me. I'll turn this one up. This one actually is a little bit easier to get out. And I had them out before, and I just took them out before I started making the video, and I put a little wax, Johnson's paste wax on. You can already see where the stock's bowing, where that tension's off. And then the barrel, you can just pull it up, because these were made with a hooked breech, which is why it had the little gap right there at the tang, which I thought, the breech plug wasn't installed properly or something when I first got it and got looking at it, and then I took it apart and I'm like, oh, okay. And you can see where the breech plug and barrel line up here. It actually has a marking lines on the back here, although they don't exactly line up. And I will probably load this gun up and stick the butt end into an old tire and tie a string to it and get behind something and pull it, just to make sure it doesn't blow up the first time it gets shot, you know. I mean, I've got a lot of the Indian made guns. I shoot Pedersolis, I shoot custom guns. I have Indian guns that I shoot, and I've not had any problems, but I don't know the provenance of this gun. The guy didn't know where his father got it. And I do know some of the Indian guns are made just as wall hangers, although this one does have the vent drill. But anyway, let me turn this up here, and I'll hold it here where you can see it. If you look right in here, where that end of that wedge goes through, right above it, you see that the head of it looks like they just used a nail and cut it off. But anyway, it's got a pin to keep it captive, so you don't lose these in the field. This one here is particularly tight, where the other ones can wiggle around a little bit and are looser and you can pull them loose. This one doesn't have as much clearance, and I don't know if that's just poor fitting or if the wood swelled over time. And it's just something, you know, this is going to be a project gun, and it'll be sitting around. I will get it out. It's got just a plain, almost a French style or pistol style lock plate on the side. I've never seen a Baker rifle in person, so I don't really know how accurate of a reproduction this is. Well, one thing that's wrong with it right off the bat is that it is a smoothbore. So it's basically more of a fusee or a Fowler or shotgun style than an actual rifle. I have heard of some people that there's enough barrel in here that you can actually take them and send them off and have them rifled. Will I do it with this gun? I thought about it, but I don't know if I would need to investigate the expense, because I don't want to put a whole lot more money into it. Although, like I said, I got a good price on this gun, but it's not something that I'm going to be using a lot, so I may or may not have the barrel rifled. Anyway, to reassemble this, it's basically pretty simple. Just stick the hook of the breech right back in there, drop the barrel right in where the pins, and then that one's going to be a little tight. I can just about push these two right there, push them all the way in. This one is a little, oh, there it goes, is a little stiffer, and you just slide your wedges back into place, and it makes it, it'll make it really easy, a whole lot easier to clean. You can actually get in and clean the back of the lock without taking the lock off, because there is a little bit of wood opening there. I do need to pull this lock off and see if I need to polish anything. I need to put a flint in it and see if it'll spark. But anyway, this is just, it was an impulse buy, at a Civil War event. So it just goes to show you, just because you're going to something outside of your time period and interest, you may still find something for sale amongst the sutlers and vendors at different events. Anyway, I hope you appreciated the video, and thank you for watching.